Hey everybody, welcome back to another knife review. Today we're taking a look at the Civivi Riffle. This is an in-house design, so it doesn't have a designer associated with it. Here are a couple looks at it before we get into the specs. So now into some of these specs and measurements. Overall length is 8 inches, 3.5 inch blade. Blade thickness is 0.12 inches. Handle length is 4.5 inches. Handle thickness is 0.48 inches. Weight is 3.42 ounces. Blade material is 14C28N. I forget if it says it somewhere. It might say it very subtly somewhere, but... oh yeah, there it is. You can barely see it shine right in there. 14C28N. So, very nice that it doesn't plaster it everywhere like zero tolerance or something that has a bunch of writing on the blade. Handle material, steel liners, micarta handle, or micarta scales, and backspacer. They come in tan, brown, or no, just brown, olive, dark green. Then there's also carbon fiber and wood that come with the Damascus blades. So this is just the plain blade. It is a drop point flat grind. I think Blade HQ calls it a hollow grind, but I held a metal roller up to the grind and couldn't see any light between the point to point, so definitely a flat grind. Stonewashed blade, very nice, like bead blasted and then stonewashed. Nice and subtle. Plain edge. Right hand, left hand tip up. Pocket clip. Goes right there where that back screw goes, and then it uses that front hole also. There you can see the pocket clip. Obviously it's a liner lock knife and made in China because it is Civivi. Now to the design. So, kind of a big opening in the top here. It's got like a captured stop pin in the blade. So when the blade moves, the stop pin moves with it. Plenty of other knives do that, but kind of a big opening there where it's not, like some of them have this, but they have metal around it still, so it's like a slot, but this is just kind of open where the stop pin travels. Not too bad. I mean, I guess it could get some dust in it, but nothing crazy. Just kind of looks a little weird, but nothing horrible. Deep carry clip with flush screws. There you can see those. The pocket clip is not flush or like sunk down into the scales, which is nice, and I like when they do that, but this model is from, I think, early 2020, so they might not have been doing that yet because a couple of their newer models, it is sunken down in the scales, like the Baby Banter and a couple other Civivis. And it is a normal spring clip. You can see there it's comfortable. I like it. I've heard other people complain about how steep it is or something, or how it is shaped, but it works fine with me. Micarta is nice and smooth. It's not super grippy. I guess it actually feels a little grippier on this side than this side. Maybe this side was polished a little more, but actually almost looks even a little different color. Like there's more of the fabric showing out of the resin on that side than on this side, but the presentation side is nice and smooth. Still, if your hands get a little wet or something, it probably will help with grip. This side definitely feels a little grippier. Then you have your lanyard post back here. It's nice that it's just part of the back spacer and a little pin. It's not a hole through the handle or some big cutout or anything. It's just kind of using space that was already going to be there, so that's nice. The pivot is just the regular Civivi C pivot, so no big Civivi name or anything on it. If you see that pivot, you already know it's a Civivi. Has a large opening hole in the blade. This is it's kind of one of those things like, I think the company's doing the pocket clip where they have the big ball bearing pressed into the titanium milled clip. That was like a Todd Begg thing to do for a long, long time. And then I think Riot and a couple other companies did Todd Begg knives. And then after they did knives with him, other knives they did came with that same feature. So it was like a distinctive feature to him that then carries on to other people, which this kind of seems like a Elijah Isham thing, where a lot of his knives had big cutouts and just a little bar of metal across the top, really, which at first when I saw that years and years ago, I thought, okay, that's kind of scary. Like, what if you push too hard and crack the metal up here? But I've never seen anybody have that problem. But it does look like a Elijah Isham design carryover from when they worked with him on other knives and with Wii knives and stuff that, well, then they started using that design language on other things. So not really like a copy of his design, but like a carryover of one of his design techniques. Jimped flipper tab, and the flipper tab does have a hole in it. No real reason for that, just probably for looks, but it does look cool with it. And I really like their jimping on their flippers and stuff. The jimping back here is nice too, but that really fine jimping is nice on the flippers. A little bit of scalloping in there and a relief on this side of the scale so you can get your finger in to the lock, which is nice. I believe is on ceramic bearings and detent, which feels nice and smooth. Nice strong detent. Well, strong enough to flip it open. Large Torx hardware. You can see that hardware on the scale and even back here. Nice and large, so you don't have to use tiny little T6 on the handle to get it apart. I hate when you have to do that because then you're likely to either strip your bit if you have a cheap Husky bit or something, or if it's cheap unhardened steel pivots or screws, then you'll strip out the Torx pattern. So nice when they include larger ones because you hardly ever strip out a T8 or whatever this happens to be. Onto the pros. I like the shape of the blade. It's very nice for cutting. I like the angle of the grind right there. Very nice how it follows along the opener. And it's got a big belly. I mean, there's no flat points in the blade. It's kind of just a big swept up grind. And it slices very nicely. I also kind of like that it's a kind of plain design. There's nothing too crazy or adventurous about it. It's really just a plain user knife. Nothing too distinct. Like if it was a, you can tell it's not a custom make or anything because you don't recognize any of the designs or anything. Flips great. Opens great with the opener. That was my left hand, which I'm not very good with, so you could tell it's good then. Unlocks easy. Very nice action. I didn't take this apart and clean it out like I did with the ODD22. I had to do it with the ODD22 just because the blade was off center and everything, and it felt like it could be smoother. So I took that apart and now it's perfect, but this one was fine action-wise. I like the steel. 14C28N is nice. I did sharpen this already, and it sharpened nice and easy. And now it's super sharp. Also, I already mentioned it, but that lock relief right there makes it very easy to unlock. comfortable in hand, kind of a bigger Civivi knife, but very comfortable in the hand, comfortable in the pocket, light enough where you might not notice it, and kind of thin, just flat scales, so very comfortable to carry. Some of the cons, the pivot was loose when I got it, so like with the ODD20, right when I opened it up, or ODD22, right when I opened it up, the blade favored the right side, which you can kind of see it might favor a little bit right now, but it was like way over toward the right scale here, and I could tell right when I flipped it open that, oh, well, it's not just out of alignment, it's just loose. So I took the pivot out. I think I might have put Loctite on it, and then just put it right back in and tightened it down nice and hard. Then kind of just left it for overnight just to make sure everything, the Loctite and everything all stayed where it was. And then it was perfect. But I don't know why it came loose. I don't know if it was in Blade HQ's warehouse since 2022 or 2020, and they just flipped it a bunch, and maybe it was a floor model or something, and they let a bunch of people play with it or something, and it just came loose over time. Maybe it came from Civivi like that. I don't know that, but when it came to me, the pivot was loose, so I had to tighten that up myself. Also, the blade wasn't super sharp. If you've noticed, lately on my reviews, I make sure the first thing in the pro column is a sharp blade, because it's a knife, so obviously the first thing you want it to do is cut, and when it showed up, it really wasn't super sharp. It wouldn't shave the hair off my arm or anything, and it just really like cutting into paper, like you'd really have to struggle to get it to slice paper. But now I put it on my sharpener, my Work Sharp precision sharpener, and I can do a couple little test cuts here. So sharp enough now. I didn't put like a razor sharp edge on it, but I got it enough to shave a little bit of the hair on my arm, and then I carried it for a couple weeks since then, so it might have dulled a little more since then. But it took a nice edge. It was nice to sharpen just because the shape of this blade and the blade opener means there's no thumb studs that could get in the way of the sharpener. So final judgment, after I sharpened it and after I tightened the pivot, it was a perfect EDC knife. I really do love carrying it. I've carried it for, 90-some% of the days since I got it like 3 weeks ago. So very nice. Not super heavy, not super big, not super thick, but big enough to get a full hand grip, do every task I've needed it to, cutting open packages, boxes, mail, whatever I need it to. So just all around a very good knife, and right now it is on sale, I believe at Blade HQ for $41.99, so crazy good knife for the price. Originally it might have been in the 60s or 70s, which still not a bad price, but at $41 it is a crazy good deal. Definitely think if it is $50 or $60 in the future somewhere, it wouldn't be a bad deal to pick it up. Here's a comparison to the brand new Odd 22, so you can see a lot of the same designs, the lock bar relief in there. The large hardware is nice on both. There we go. Same construction and everything. It's got the reversible pocket clip in the same style. Pretty much just stamped out steel liners. They're kind of polished on the insides of them, and then they're bead blasted around the edges and kind of rounded off. No backspacer on the Odd 22. And they both have pretty close to the same action. Odd 22 might feel a little better, and I do like the thumb studs. Yeah, a little more authoritative flip on the Odd 22, but it is a newer knife. Maybe they've tweaked their detents or something since then, so that could be why. So, all around, I think it's a very good knife. $41.99 is a crazy price if you find it for that much. I would definitely recommend getting it. I love carrying it, and I love that I know it's just a cheap $40 knife that I can flip around, do whatever I want with it, not worry about it getting damaged or anything. And that's about it for this knife. Real quick, the packaging, I didn't show that, but regular Civivi packaging, Civivi sticker, Elementum sticker, microfiber cloth, and a nice furry pouch in there. So, I think that's it for this knife. If you liked this and want to see more, check out the other videos like the Odd 22 review. And don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.